Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to another Monday Night Facebook Live. For those of you that are just joining us for the first time or listening on the replay, my name is Laura Betts. I am an instructor trainer with ANDI International. I'm a certified hyperbaric chamber operator instructor, and I'm a certified hyperbaric technician. I am also founder and facility director of Hyperbaric RX here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. We are an ANDI Certified Hyperbaric Facility. We're also an ANDI and training research site. So welcome, welcome. We do Facebook Lives every Monday at 6 o'clock. And we cover a wide variety of topics. We talk about diving medicine. We talk about hyperbaric medicine. We talk about nutrition. We talk about balancing your health naturally. And we talk about just all sorts of different information. And the idea is to give you action items that you can take back and apply. So thank you so much again for joining me this evening. Last week, we talked about a really interesting topic, and we did an elaboration on some foundational approaches. So last week, we were specifically talking about approaches to Lyme disease, and I went over a traditional medicine approach versus a functional medicine approach versus a foundational medicine approach. One of the interesting things about hyperbaric oxygen and being a hyperbaric oxygen therapy facility is we get referrals from all over the world. Most doctors understand that just about everything that goes on in our body needs oxygen to do its job. And hyperbaric is a safe, effective, non-invasive way to specifically use the pressure of the chamber to dissolve the gas into a liquid. In this case, the gas is oxygen, and the liquid is everything in our body except dense bone. And when we increase the solubility of oxygen, it engages all of these wonderful healing mechanisms. And while it may seem a little biased on this side of the dials, there is very little that does as much all at the same time in a non-invasive way with zero long-term side effects. We've done videos earlier. If you check out the video page on Hyperbaric RX, we have some other videos there. Again, we're doing Facebook Lives every Monday, so we've really built up quite a list of topics there. And one of the videos we've done is the 6 things that hyperbaric oxygen therapy does. So I encourage you to check it out. Also, there is my personal story. And Hyperbaric RX was founded out of my personal healing journey. I have a firsthand narrative with hyperbaric oxygen therapy. It's really a neat story. And this holistic hyperbaric center exists so that people are able to access and benefit from the very thing that ultimately saved my life. So really neat, and I encourage you to check it out. And again, if you haven't noticed, I'm very passionate about what we do. And honestly, I want everybody to be able to live their life to the fullest and to be able to feel great in their bodies. I mean, we have to spend our entire time on this planet in this body. So we may as well ever do everything we can to help it optimize and perform naturally. Hyperbaric RX, by the way, we are located in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. However, we do telehealth all over the world. So if you are in our area, please come by. We offer a lot of wonderful in-person services here. However, if you're not local to us, that doesn't mean that we can't help you. Again, we're doing telehealth all over the world. So again, thanks so much. I sit on a couple of medical boards, and I'm a longtime member of the Diving and Hyperbaric Medical Board with ANDI International. Hyperbaric RX is an ANDI Certified Hyperbaric Facility, and it's an extensive voluntary accreditation process. It means that our equipment meets a certain criteria, and it also means, among other things, that we're using oxygen. Tonight's topic, I'm specifically going to talk about flying after diving. It's a question that we get all the time. Can I go flying after I've done my hyperbaric session? Especially down here in Fort Lauderdale, it is a vacation destination, and we do get people that aren't here for extended periods of time, or they're here on vacation and then they're going home. Sometimes we have where clients are coming for a specific surgical procedure, and they're coming down to rest and relax and recover in the sun, and they want to add hyperbaric oxygen therapy. And then the question comes up, can they fly after diving? And the answer is yes, provided that the facility is properly administering hyperbaric oxygen therapy. So I encourage you to hang out for a little bit, and I'm going to explain the mechanism of DCI and why it's really important that you are sure on this, because if we're not doing a clinical dosage of oxygen, then the answer to this question would not necessarily be yes. Again, last week we did a great topic on approaches to Lyme disease. I encourage you to check it out. And in addition to sitting on the ANDI Medical Board, I am also Vice President of Substance Abuse Programming and Protocol Integration with the International Hyperbaric Medical Foundation. So a lot of cutting edge research and information. We are also an ANDI Hyperbaric training facility here, as well as a research site. So we are working with the most cutting edge information in hyperbaric, the newest protocols. In addition to all of the standard well-established protocols, we have all of the international indications and research protocols, and that's part of that whole personalized dive plan. Now, I've mentioned that we are an ANDI Certified Hyperbaric Facility, and tonight's topic couldn't make even tonight's topic really demonstrates why this is so important. You know, there's a lot of things that people take for granted when choosing a hyperbaric facility. And there's a tremendous amount of trust that's placed in the hyperbaric facility. And the question that I would ask is that trust warranted? Because in tonight's topic, if they are doing proper hyperbaric oxygen therapy, then yeah, you can get on a plane right after. But if they're not, it's a whole different thing. And just because you did hyperbaric oxygen therapy, well, the O is supposed to be oxygen, but it doesn't necessarily mean it is. So let's get into our topic tonight and give you a little bit of education. So first of all, let me talk about where this flying and diving is coming from. Now, in scuba diving, it is well known that you're going to wait 24 hours before flying out. So if you're doing a scuba diving trip, it's very common where the last day of the trip is spent sightseeing or hanging out at the hotel and enjoying the amenities. The day before you fly is not a diving day. And the reason for that has to deal with the mechanism of DCI, DCS. So we're talking about decompression sickness or decompression illness, depending on the terminology. You may most know it as the bends. So for scuba divers do have limits. And if they go too deep and they stay too long and they come up too fast, the inert gases that dissolve into the tissues over the course of the scuba dive are no longer able to be kept in solution. Most recreational divers are working with something called no decompression limits. And this is basically, they're based on our diving tables, and it lets us know at the depth that we're going at, how long we could safely stay there and then return to the surface. Now, when we're going in a plane, the pressure is actually less. The surface, 1 ATA, is about 14.7. And when you go in a plane, planes go to altitude and planes are not pressurized to surface level. Usually the fuselage is around 11.9 PSI is the calculation that's commonly used. So the pressure is slightly less. So the reason why scuba divers take that day off is because they still have some nitrogen left over. And if they were to go on a plane, it's changing the pressure, it's reducing the gradient, is the term. It's the equivalent of taking the top off of the soda bottle. And at that point, you would get bubbles. And bubbles are the mechanism of the bends. Bubbles are the mechanism of decompression sickness, decompression illness, and they are caused by nitrogen. So for a scuba diver, the scuba diver is breathing a high partial pressure of nitrogen. That's what the no decompression limits are based on. They're based on inert gas loading, specifically nitrogen. And if the diver were to change the gradient by going in an airplane, essentially that's what causes the bubbles. The mechanism is nitrogen. Now, again, nitrogen, it's a chemically inert gas, but it's not biophysically inert. The body doesn't use it for anything. And essentially, it packs into the tissues over the course of the scuba dive. And again, if the diver were to change the gradient, like going up in an airplane, then the concern is the nitrogen bubbles, the nitrogen gas is no longer able to stay in solution. This is what decompression theory is all about. And the bubbles come out, and essentially they can get bent on the plane. And this is the reason why scuba divers can't go on an airplane for 24 hours. That's the standard procedure. So 24 hours from your last scuba dive is regarded as your window for flying. So very common. In fact, when people are planning their diving trips, again, as I mentioned, very common for the last day to be the sightseeing day and taking advantage that we're not going to load any more nitrogen. So the mechanism here, again, the reason why you can't go flying after you've gone scuba diving is nitrogen. Now, in hyperbaric oxygen therapy, while we are increasing pressures, we're not using an inert gas. The gas, the O in the HBOT, is oxygen. And O, oxygen, has different pathophysiology than nitrogen. That's the whole point here. So, can you go flying right after a hyperbaric session? And the answer is yes, because we have different pathophysiology. In this case, we're dealing with the pathophysiology of oxygen, and you can't get bent from a flying after a hyperbaric session because you didn't load nitrogen into the tissues. Now, here's the catch. And this is one of the reasons why I do these Facebook Lives. And this is what part of this information is designed to educate you about. Whether you're considering doing hyperbaric oxygen therapy, whether you're an ANDI certified chamber operators or one of our ANDI certified hyperbaric facilities, or if you're listening to this and say, wow, I really want to be an ANDI hyperbaric facility, because there really is a difference. So again, the O in the HBOT is supposed to be oxygen. But unfortunately, one of the things that's happening in the industry is we have untrained, uneducated persons that don't understand partial pressures in breathing gases. They haven't received any training. They don't have any certification. They've been told these chambers are so simple. And yes, while they didn't cause any barotrauma, a pressure-related injury, they didn't hurt anybody's ears, but that doesn't mean that they didn't necessarily cause issues in regards to the secondary effects of pressure. So at an ANDI certified hyperbaric facility, one of the things that goes along with that is they're using oxygen. The O means oxygen, and they are delivering a higher partial pressure of oxygen to the tissues. That's the whole point. Unfortunately, we do have untrained, uncertified facilities that are not using an oxygen source or they're not properly administering the oxygen. I did a consult last week on a facility that they had an oxygen source, but the chamber's pressurized with air. So they need to use some kind of built-in breathing system. So they didn't know that they needed to use some kind of built-in breathing system. They thought that the oxygen was just flowing into the chamber, and not the case. The percentage of oxygen in the chamber, in fact, does not climb by design. They need to be using some kind of mask, some kind of built-in breathing system in that configuration. Now, most of us don't have oxygen analyzers built into our nose, so we can't tell the FO2 of the gas that we're breathing. And that again brings me back to the trust and confidence you can place in an ANDI Certified Hyperbaric Facility. And one of the reasons why certified chamber operators are so important. We're making sure that we're delivering proper dosage. A few weeks ago, I did a video on the 3 most important things in hyperbaric oxygen therapy. And I said that they were dosage, dosage, and dosage. And I talked about that. And behind the scenes, the different things that the chamber operator is making sure, all of the factors that we're taking into account to make sure that we're delivering the dosage appropriate for the personalized dive plan. So it really is a big difference here. So bringing this question full circle. So while yes, it wouldn't be a problem, yes, it wouldn't cause harm, yes, flying right after you did a hyperbaric oxygen therapy session because of the pathophysiology of higher partial pressures of oxygen is not a problem if you didn't know that you were breathing more nitrogen than oxygen, if you didn't know that the facility was not doing proper hyperbaric oxygen therapy, then this could be problematic. This could be a situation where you're assuming it's safe to go on the plane, but unfortunately, because the tissues were loaded with more nitrogen than oxygen, which ironically, when that's done, it causes ischemia. Ischemia means low oxygen in the tissues. So the irony is that the person thinks they're getting more. And in fact, because we have an untrained, uncertified, ignorant, or possibly malice, ignorance and malice to the end user, the same thing. But if you know that you're not delivering dosage and you choose to not deliver dosage, well, that's a very different thing than if you didn't understand or were missing some information. So different piece there. So again, now in this situation, the person would get on the plane and essentially they would reduce the gradient and theoretically could cause a decompression sickness situation. Essentially, they could have microbubble formation as a result. So big difference there. Again, nitrogen versus oxygen, different gases, different pathophysiology, but you're putting a lot of trust and confidence into your chamber operator. You're putting a lot of trust and confidence into the facility. So you probably want to make sure that at least somebody bothered to look to make sure they were doing it right. So again, one of the many benefits between choosing an ANDI certified hyperbaric facility with ANDI certified chamber operators. So I hope this was interesting. I hope I gave you a little perspective and some update. Again, we do Facebook Lives every Monday at 6 o'clock and all sorts of topics. And we've got tons of videos. This is also an opportunity for you to ask us questions real time in the chat. So our oxygen experts and holistic health practitioners, we're here. We're happy to help. And if you are thinking about doing hyperbaric oxygen therapy, well, please give our facility a call. We'd love to schedule a consultation and get your dive going for you. And in addition to personalized dive packages and wellness programs, we have programs to naturally support and rebalance your body. So complementary targeted supplementation. And we really have a unique thing that we do. And I've done some other videos on the state of the art DNA analysis and quantum nutrition testing that we offer. So check them out. It's really amazing. And they are very synergistic with hyperbaric mechanisms. Again, we are an ANDI certified hyperbaric facility, and we offer all sorts of programs to help essentially give you the ability to heal, repair, detox, and balance your body naturally. So really awesome stuff all the way around. It's been great having everybody with me this evening. If you are listening to this on the replay and you have some questions, please send us a message. We'd love to answer them for you. Again, we do Facebook Lives every Monday at 6 o'clock. So thank you again for joining me. My name is Laura Betts, again, founder and facility director of Hyperbarics RX. Many of you know me as the Oxygen Lady. So again, this is the Oxygen Lady here, signing off another Monday night. And I look forward to seeing you next Monday at 6 o'clock. Have a great night and safe diving.